Welcome to today's show, Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, a motivator, a leader, and a communicator. Good morning and welcome to Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and I am so happy that you've tuned in once again this week to hear this morning's show. Many thanks go out to everyone who's listening around the world, and I sure hope that your morning has been a great start to a wonderful day. I hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. It was absolutely gorgeous here in Florida. I just can't tell you how wonderful it was. Just imagine a sky that is just crystal blue and not a cloud in the sky. We had 2 days of that, and it was just wonderful. And the temperature was just right, not too hot, not too cold. It was just perfect. We had a unbelievable cold front that had come through, and we had gotten down to 59 in the morning on, I guess it was Sunday. It was pretty chilly. I was at a soccer game on Saturday morning, and it was rather cold, actually, out there. But what a wonderful weekend. I sure hope yours was, too. You know, you can find out more about success and intentional lifestyle by visiting the Jeff Heiser Radio website at www.jeffheiserradio.com. That's www.jeffheiserradio.com, or by visiting facebook.com/Jeff Heiser Radio. Now, this morning, we're going to continue on with working on our mental toughness. And over the last 2 weeks, we talked about some things about what you can do to build mental toughness, what things that you need to have in your arsenal to be mentally tough. And the first week, we talked about motivation and what it means and how you get yourself motivated to get out there and get yourself in the game. And then last week we talked about confidence and why confidence is such an important piece of the whole mental toughness idea. Now, this week we're going to talk about focus, but I want to say one more thing about where we're going with this, okay? There's 5 items that I've identified as being the key ingredients to mental toughness: motivation, confidence, focus, and I'm going to leave the other 2 for you to tune in next week and the following week so that you know what's going on with mental toughness. And then we'll wrap it up and bring it all together into one solid piece that you understand that you need to have these things in order to be mentally tough. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about focus. And, you know, growing up, I was often told to keep my eye on the prize. And I'm sure you've heard the same thing. I'm sure that people have said to you, keep your eye on the target, or keep your eye on the prize. I heard it from my parents. I heard it from my scoutmasters. I heard it from my coaches, from my teachers. While I was in the military, people would say it. And most definitely while I was in business, especially the last business that I was in, we had to really remain focused or with our eye on the prize, what that prize was. And we wanted to be, number one. And we were for a long time, for almost 13 years. We were the number one at home, in the air experience for in-flight entertainment. But it wasn't until much later in my life, and especially the later part of my experience with my last company, did I really understand how important that this simple phrase, keep your eye on the prize, was to my success. See, life has lots of distractions. Lots of distractions. You just need to walk down a New York street, or actually any street, and you'll see how distracted people are. They don't even know that they're coming to a crosswalk because they're so distracted by their phone or by their iPad or the radio that they have blaring in their ears or whatever it is. And they'll walk right out, not even knowing if traffic is coming or not. That's distraction. That's a bad way to be, and you'll understand when we get to the end here why it is so important to be focused in what you do. You know, as I matured and I began to pay closer attention to successful people, I began to realize that, you know, successful people maintain an unrelenting focus on what matters, on what they're trying to achieve, regardless of the distractions that's going on around them. I mean, I've been around some successful people that you could tell them that, hey, you know, somebody just drove off in your Beamer, and if they're on to making a deal, it just wouldn't matter. They would just, I mean, that's how focused they are. They're laser sharp on what was important or what is important to them at that time. I learned that they focused on their past successes rather than their failures, and they very rarely focused much on the future when it came to what if and what will happen with the market if I do all this different stuff, the what if things. They just didn't focus on that. They took a look at it, but they never really focused on it. See, that's an important thing to remember, because what that told me was they were focused on the present. I learned that successful people are keenly focused on the present and on the next steps that they need to take in order to realize their goals or their objectives of what they're trying to achieve, rather than wasting time on many of the distractions that life throws at them. Successful people have an ability to consistently, and I mean consistently, almost to a fault, be proactive in their pursuit of success, regardless of life's distractions. That means that's all they're after. That's all they are in tune with, is their pursuit of success, regardless of the distractions. To me, that could be good and bad. You know, it's mostly good from what I see, because, you know, the distractions are what keep you from achieving your goals. And if you can keenly focus in on your pursuit of your success and get rid of the distractions, you'll be successful. That's why a lot of athletes that you see playing the game, whatever the game is. I just recently watched a series of baseball games, and the outfielder, it's like you couldn't hit a ball any place in that outfield where he wasn't like a laser on that ball, unless it was out of the park. Goes the same with pitchers. You know, the batter gets up and he tries to intimidate the pitcher by making himself look bigger, by covering over the plate, by scooting in on the home plate, making himself real close, real big. And as long as that pitcher stays focused on what his job is, on the prize, he will do well. As soon as he lets the distractions of the game get to him is when he starts missing his pitches. You don't see a great many pitchers that are that good at being able to focus so keenly that they make no mistakes. And that's why you see so few what we call shutout games or no-hit games. You might see 2 or 3 in a season. There's 100 and something games played by how many different teams? And you only get 3 or 4 no-hitters in a season? That's focus. He's able to focus on what his job is and put away the distractions that keep him from doing that job. Now, I asked this lately, especially the last two shows. I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, rank yourself where you think your ability to focus is. I certainly hope it's over 5. But be honest with yourself, because this is something that when you score yourself honestly, you get a really good picture on what you need to work on. So if you feel that you're very distracted and you're down in 2 or 3, you know that you have to work on getting rid of the distractions in your life so that you can better focus. Now, so that there's no mistake on what I'm talking about when it comes to focus. See, up to this point, I've been taking for granted that you understood what I was talking about being focused. And focus is your ability to stay homed in on what's important while blocking out everything else. It's your ability to stay homed in on what's important while blocking out everything else. To me, that seems like such an easy thing, but in reality, it really isn't, because there are so many distractions. Give you a really good example. Say you're a hiker and you go hiking, and you're focused on reaching the summit, and you're hiking, and then the weather changes, and then it starts to get cold, and the wind starts to blow. All those are distractions. Your body starts to ache. You feel you're starting to feel tired or whatever. All distractions. And unless you can focus on what it is that you're out there for, that you want to reach the top, you will not reach the top. If you can't focus and block out everything else that is getting in your way as you go up this mountain, you won't reach the top. See, focus is necessary if you want to develop mental toughness. It enables you to achieve your goals because you're able to stay on target. You're able to stay homed in on what it is that you want to achieve. Just like the last two, motivation and confidence, it's one of the key elements of mental toughness that you have to master. You can't have, well, I'm really good at motivation and confidence, but I can't focus. Well, if you can't focus, you can't finish. That's as simple as it gets. You can have all the confidence in the world that you're good at something, and you can have all of the motivation in the world to push you through being that good at something. But if you can't focus on what that something is, and you're just ate up with the distractions, you will not finish. So focus becomes an important part of the 5 things that I've laid out as being important for mental toughness. See, it's a trait that is important if you want to stay on track when undertaking any challenge. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be business, education, relationships, you name it. Do you think that the soldiers that are deployed and they're out there fighting lack focus? If they lack focus, they don't come home. They don't come home. Focus is what keeps their eye on the enemy and what their job is. Their job is to defeat the enemy and come home alive. They have to focus. The moment that they don't could be their last moment. It's an important trait. When developing your mental toughness, remember that a great deal of what we're talking about right now, motivation, confidence, focus, it all comes down to your ability to establish these elements as effective personal habits, such as the motivation, the confidence, and focus. And one of the ways to